So, I was doing a vlog today in Cornwall, and the whole vlog I was driving like all the way through Cornwall, and I drove right to the very tip, right where I don't know, you meet the North Atlantic, at this little town called St Just. It's a very remote town, like not much going on there. But anyway, I arrived at this town and I needed to charge my camera, so I stopped off at this pub, and this pub was completely decorated. I was all decorated with sort of Cornish mining paraphernalia, because Cornwall used to be the trade of Cornwall. Everyone used to be miners basically for tin. And there was one photo on the pub that I saw, and it was a photo of like all these miners who had just, come back from doing their day's work or whatever, and they're all just standing there, and it was really weird because obviously this was an old photo, and probably all the people in that photo are dead now, but I just looked at this photo and every man in that photo just looked so happy, and it's another weird thing to say, but they were all in really good shape. They were all thin, just with these massive smiles on their heads, on their face. And you just think like these guys have been doing what for most of us we'd think would be like just horrible work, just staying out in these mines, risking your life basically to just chip away at these bits of tin or whatever it was, just so they can make a living to feed their family. And yet, yeah, these guys just looked so happy. And I looked over at some guys who were just in the pub that Sunday, just playing cards, having a drink. And look, I'm not saying that the tin miners back in the day wouldn't indulge in a drink as well, but I just saw these guys and I thought they didn't look as happy, they looked quite aimless. And I was like, this is what we've done to the men of our generations, is we just haven't got a purpose anymore, And I just sat there and I thought, like, what job do these guys have who were sitting at the pub? And these guys were obviously like locals. Like, what jobs are they doing? And it's just, I could just tell it was nothing nearly as purposeful, as meaningful as what their grandfathers were doing, mining tin. And like, I don't blame them. Like, it's not their fault that they don't live in a society that supports them with meaningful work anymore. Most of them are probably, I don't know, working in a local shop somewhere. Can't imagine what else you do in a town like that. Maybe, a lot of them are probably just unemployed, let's be honest. You just have to rely on handouts for the state. And like, I'm not shaming this, because like society's changed. The tin mines are shut. It's difficult for them to go work now. And so they're all living slightly less meaningful lives, and it's really sad. And it's funny because we've always thought, like, throughout this sort of self-improvement world, everyone's always thought it's like our generation, like my generation, like young people today, they're the ones who have the meaningless life. But I actually think, like, being in that pub today, it made me realise, like, no, this goes so much deeper. Like, there's so much more of a story here than what we think, And I actually think this is like our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation as well. That it's the same. There's a lot going further back than we realise, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's funny, like in the UK, in my parents' generation, the closing of the mines, like in the north of England and in Cornwall as well, you know, like with Thatcher and stuff like that, there was a massive uprising about it, like, and I understand why now. Like, I get it, because that was people's livelihoods. That was, you know, so much more than just a job. It was their sense of identity. It was their brotherhood. It was their purpose. You know, and Thatcher, you know, whatever, she had to modernise the economy. I'm not an economist, I don't know much about it, but, you know, when she did that, she took away people's purpose as well. And it's so sad, and I get why people are so pissed off about her, you know. And yeah, it just gave me real perspective of like this whole like self-improvement crisis we're in now, this whole mental health crisis we're in, where young men don't feel purposeful anymore. Like, it goes so much further back than just our generation. You know, we tend to think like, oh, social media came along and then men were depressed, but it's a much bigger picture. I can see it go back so much further to even our grandparents' generation, like this whole thing, even like the First World War. Yeah, I know. I think that's where it all really started, the First World War. But that's another topic for another video. But I don't know. I just sometimes think like we never really think about how we got in this situation in the first place. You know, like the fact that there are people in this country who genuinely believe that they are a different gender to the one they're born with, and they have to get surgery. Like, we never really think about how that happens and just how weird that is, you know. We don't accept, you know, I don't accept that that's really right, or that should be pushed on people. But we kind of accept that that's the situation we're in. But none of us really realise like how weird it is that that's happened, that's come about. And I think we have to look deeper into our history, you know, to find that out. And I think maybe something about these Cornish mining towns, like, there's something to do with it, you know. That's maybe where it all started, kind of the canary in the coal mine, if you'll forgive a very cheeky sort of segue back to the original topic. But yeah, that was just my takeaway from going to a small Cornish mining village today. I'm just in a service station right now, watching this beautiful sunset. Look at this amazing sunset. There's so much beautiful nature around me, and yeah, it's been a great trip. I'm gonna have some videos on the other channel about it. But yeah, spent like all my money doing this trip basically, and the rest of this month is going to be very frugal, but it's giving me a sense of purpose. But anyway, that's another story. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, I am doing some one-on-one coaching at the moment, so check me out. Just got a link below. Book a free call with me. Be delighted to hear from you. And yeah, see you in the next one.